So the Trump and Iran agreement has been the topic of conversation thus lately, as it should be. All right, we need to get this thing wrapped up. All right, it's in technically not an agreement, but it's an MOA. All right, a memorandum of understanding. All right, it's pretty much just a ceasefire. All right, and I don't see how this is fundamentally different from the kind of diplomacy Donald Trump spent years criticizing. All right. For years, we were told negotiations with Iran were weak. We were told memorandums, understandings, and agreements gave Iran breathing room. All right. We were told maximum pressure, not negotiations, was the only answer that we had. Now, suddenly, we're celebrating. And what are we celebrating? Memorandum of understanding. We're celebrating negotiations. We're celebrating the promise that more talks are coming. Again, this is just a ceasefire. Does anybody else see the irony? Because I do. All right. And I'm not saying this is like Obama's Iran deal, because honestly, that was better. The JCPOA. This is not like that. It's not. The terms, the timing, the structure are all different. All right. But the political sales pitch feels familiar. An agreement built on promises, future compliance, and the hope that diplomacy changes behavior when we all know diplomacy does not change behavior. That's exactly the type of approach Trump spent years arguing couldn't be trusted. You spent a decade telling America's diplomacy with Iran is weakness, then expect us to call your diplomacy strength just because your name is on a document. This isn't about whether you're Republican or Democrat, independent, in between, whatever the case is. It's about consistency, all right? And if Obama's deal deserves scrutiny, then guess what? Trump's deal deserves the exact same scrutiny, all right? If Republicans demanded proof before trusting Iran in 2015, why shouldn't they demand proof now? The standard shouldn't change because the precedent changed. All right? That's partisanship, not principle. And that's exactly why independent voters like myself are walking away from both parties. My problem isn't that Trump negotiated with Iran. My problem is spending years condemning negotiations with Iran, then asking Americans to celebrate your own before it's proven to work. Here's my bottom line. If this agreement ultimately keeps Iran from obtaining a nuclear weapon and makes America safer, it deserves credit. Although Iran didn't have a nuclear weapon, America seemed pretty safe before. If it doesn't, it deserves criticism. But what I'm not going to do is pretend this is some completely new philosophy that he's come up with that deserves some type of praise. Because from where I sit, it looks an awful lot like the kind of diplomacy Donald Trump told Americans would never work. Right? But what are we doing?